Welcome and good evening to Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. This is Raph streaming to you live high above the keep in the hot air balloon. Tonight, as always, I have Neindorf with me. Neindorf, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Feeling recharged. Got some interesting stuff to talk about, no doubt.
Yeah, we sure do. It's been a while. It feels like we're in a bit of a grind mode though. We're working on some projects, and so we have a bit of a reveal coming at the end of the podcast tonight. So stick around for that. But yeah, we've been working on a lot of projects here, kind of beneath the podcast, and we'll see. I'm hoping to get back into a little bit more of a regular schedule once content starts to pop out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of it, as kind of the dev here, and we may or may not run our own hero bot, of course, and with all those sorts of changes, that's kind of kept me busy. There's a lot of interesting information with that level 10 profession quest where we kind of had to, retool and reorganize heroes. And so honestly, some of the game time I've had to spend sort of took me away,
Hmm.
actually managing hero populations.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think it's rest assured community. We're still very much in the game. And I think we both just pulled the trigger on a small bag of Jewel once it hit under 10.5 cents, right?
When you got a little liquid laying around and you see that jewel price there, it's like, it's harder to resist.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, longtime listeners know this is not financial advice, but I think there's a really strong case for that easy 10xing within a reasonable period of time. The way that I like to look at things is like, can it 2x, though? I like to take that, kind of that very conservative approach. And so, I don't know. I feel like combat is getting closer, and we'll talk about the roadmap here in a second. But when it does, I mean, there's a real use case for Jewel. Grady's been saying everything, but on his streams, I don't know if you've caught any of them, but anything but actually coming out and saying that we're going to be on the next crypto gems. So as long as we can still use crypto in the United States over the next few months, I think we'll be fine.
Right. Yeah. There's little to no possibility in my mind that that would happen. It's just as a country, I feel like we cannot segregate ourselves from one of the most growing and vibrant, sorts of development areas that exist right now. So,
Yeah, it's a bit of a kind of shake your head moment, but yeah, we don't need to go there at the moment. So let's talk about the roadmap. I'll bring that up on screen. So coming next, there's the Bazaar. This is something that was touched on in a recent AMA, and it kind of came up as an idea, but made its way full force into the roadmap here fairly recently. I'm really excited about this. Tell me what your thoughts are.
yeah, I think it's great. I mean, there's been some third-party sites that would do like the Bazaar, to trade items, but it's always kind of been a little kludgy, and you were never really sure whose site you could trust. I don't know that any of them really ended up being too unsafe eventually, but I think having an in-game version of that is huge. Those greater crystals or regular and greater stones, the dex just isn't appropriate. There's just not enough volume for it to make
Mm-hmm.
sense. And so I think something like this, it's kind of about time. And I'm not sure, but I think that it's going to be a case, I hope, where you can put buy or sell, I want to buy, I want to sell sorts of things.
Right.
Um, and that can be huge. And there's a lot of other games that do that. I know, I'm pretty sure something similar to that existed for even long running games like WoW that it made it kind of a vibrant economy.
I'm really excited about this. Earn has kind of been on the wind down, and there have not been the greater stones or crystals that I've been looking for. So I have a feeling that, like me, the demand for items is going to be pretty high right out of the gates, which is just exciting that there will be buzz around items in the game again.
That's right, and of course too, excuse me, you'll have your cut, just like you do at the tavern. But I would much rather that go to the devs and possibly the quest fund than third party devs.
Yeah.
I I know they need to get paid too, but I kind of rather keep the money in the ecosystem, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
I agree. And you know what? On the items note, also, there, with Fight Club shutting down a while ago, there is not the influx of raffle tickets into the system. And so, I think more and more people are going to be starving for the opportunity to get some of these items. If only there was a solution to raffle tickets.
Yeah, I know it's like we lost our third party tool to play a game to get raffle tickets. I feel like definitely a hole in this economy right now.
Yeah. All right. So, in game chat, I'm going to skip over tournaments. I guess there's not really a lot to talk about there that we didn't cover on the Hubert podcast. Anything you want to touch on?
For tournaments, no, I think it's just kind of something. It's more of a buzz builder, right? I
Yeah.
mean, and I hope it's a thing where maybe people can come together on a Discord channel and like let's do a a tournament and have fun and kind of give each other some crap while we're doing it and just kind
Yeah.
of enjoy an evening. That's kind of what my hope for that is, honestly.
Yeah, I know they've actually had this one in the hopper for a really long time, even though it's just recently shown up on the kind of the coming next section. I remember in some of our conversations with the DeFi Kingdoms team for a while we've been trying to stay in touch with them and say, as a third party developer, here are the things that we're looking to build. What kind of solutions do you guys need, or what things you guys have in the hopper, so we make sure we stay out of that lane. And tournaments was one of those items that came up. Gosh, it felt like February.
I
Um,
think you're right.
so I know Hubert's had a kind of a master plan for how tournaments are going to come together, how it's going to function, and how it'll work, and I like it. I think it's going to. Obviously, here it says it's going to be about duels, and so here I am talking about tournaments when I said I wouldn't talk about tournaments. All right, in-game chat. We've this is another one of those we've known about for a long time. Um, yeah, I listening to the Bogside guys. It was funny. They're like, someone tell them how toxic normal in-game chat is. So I thought that was funny. It'll be great to have guild member chat though. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, in-game chat is one of those. It's kind of divisive in the sense that some people don't want to be bothered, especially in this crypto community. But I gotta imagine they're gonna have a way that just says like turn off, and those people who don't want to be spammed with stuff won't be. So they'll do it in the right way. I trust the team to kind of have the more private members at
Yeah.
heart.
An interesting approach that I played momentarily the Pokemon MOBA on Nintendo Switch.
Oh, sure.
Some games have gone to pretty much a emoji style chat for games, which I think is kind of interesting to kind of combat that toxicity. Also,
Oh,
when you're
interesting.
playing a MOBA on the Nintendo Switch, it's like, how am I going to type my messages anyways? But you can also like send quick commands to like, all right, go to this end of the map, that end of the map. But the emoji style approach might fit something better. I don't know. It seems like they're going full chat right out of the gate, so that probably won't happen.
I get what you're saying though. And then there might be modes, or maybe it's you know, we haven't really heard much information on that one in a while. So there's a lot of options there.
Yeah, getting real geared up for player versus player combat, especially with the new artwork that came out, and starting to feel like, oh man, I can I can see these heroes at work, I can see these heroes at play when they're doing combat. That was really exciting. Was there a hero art that stuck out to you that you're like, oh man, it solidified, or were you like, which one spoke to you, I suppose?
So to me, I think one of the biggest improvements of all of them was the shapeshifter. I did not understand or know what the previous shapeshifter was. I
Uh-huh.
couldn't tell by looking at it what it really meant. And now it kind of reminds me of like, uh, like if you go to thinking of like King Arthur, like there's the Britons,
Mm-hmm.
where they're like kind of in the woods and they're got pelts on and face paint. Like that to me now makes a lot more sense.
Let's see if I have a shapeshifter that I can bring up on the screen. I
I
see what you're
just
saying. Um, I do not have a
None,
shapeshifter.
none. I was just doing a summon before streaming. I was going for Spellbow, didn't get it, but I had got a shapeshifter. So I was like, ooh, that was
Oh,
unexpected.
that is very nice. I would say really happy with thieves and warriors. Like warriors, I
Yeah.
feel like they kind of started to separate themselves from the rest of the melee combat pack with instead of having a sword, like I have a mace. Um, and then the thief with the knife flip. I mean that's you know me. I'm a sucker for thieves already, and
That's right.
that's all it took. And again, I
What'd you think about the Dark Knight? I thought it
with
just
the
looked like a
giant
mini
sword.
Dread Knight.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't. It's kind of hard. I mean, you're getting to the number of classes. Like what work? We'll eventually get to how many? 25 classes or 26?
I think there'll be 31
Oh,
eventually.
31. Yeah. That's a lot
Or
of.
30.
It's hard to
Forget.
differentiate. Even with the number that we're at now. So it's. I kind of wish it was a little different, but I guess I don't know. I
And maybe
also
that's where
the
armor, the dark
yeah,
theme might come through.
you're right. Inabilities to like if you're shooting more magic out of your sword. I don't know that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think the other one. So one of my biggest, I don't know if it's letdowns or points of confusion, is if you have any heroes that have the ancient orbs or the portal background, I do not know what that is anymore. It's like yeah, I don't know. It's really confusing. So it made a lot of sense before, and it doesn't really make any sense to me now. But I'm sure that maybe seeing it live in a game will make it play out a little differently. So that was one that I was like, oh, for some of our, visual summoners out there, those do not look good in my opinion.
Yeah,
But the Griffin wings, do you have any Griffin wings?
let's see.
Those are cool.
Yes, I agree. Oh, I'm looking in hairstyle. That's the problem. Back appendage.
I didn't even notice. I was looking.
Yeah, the Griffin wings are boss.
Those are way better. And even I think all of the wings are significantly improved.
Yeah, I'll get the wings up on.
Dude, the Paladin is pretty awesome too, I would say.
What's this one right here with these wings? Are those angel wings?
I think so.
Phoenix.
Phoenix, okay.
Phoenix. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
those are.
Phoenix.
Whoa, that guy. Wait, hold on. Flip that over again.
Oh, oh,
What was on that card?
don't pay
Double.
attention to this. Just
Just a random.
a normal hero here in Raph's army. Don't worry, and don't worry about that last stand in P1 either. I mean,
Oh,
he's not
jeez.
a monster. Don't worry. With
Gosh.
the yeah, and he has blue armor smithing, which I wasn't even going
Nice.
for. So and
The wings to the right are pretty cool too. They look like dragon wings.
yeah,
See, that's what I'm saying. The wings are awesome.
I need to get the one wing. I don't know if I have any.
Fallen Angel.
Fallen Angel. Oh,
I
let's
think
see if
that.
I have an ancient orb. I don't think I do. And we can take these guys off.
Yeah, this wasn't a segment we planned, but
Yeah.
it's just kind of fun to
Okay.
go through.
I still like the one wing. I'm a real sucker for that. It's very Final Fantasy VII esque vibes, which I
Oh,
love. So
sure.
yeah,
That guy looks like a werebear.
yeah. Okay, so
Yeah, how did we get here?
player we got here with player versus player combat. Actually, believe it or not. So roadmap altogether, I'm excited. We're excited about the visuals. Is what is getting us excited about player versus player, and they've
Yes.
changed. Even though the visuals aren't impactful, it's the animations that make us feel like we're ready to start fighting. Um, level
Well, I should
10.
say,
Go
real
ahead.
quick, dev dive. I do at some point in the future here want to get the hero images replaced on the ADFK site with the new animations, but
Okay.
I just have not gotten to that.
Yeah,
Um,
that feels like a big lift.
yeah, because now these look like ancient and funny already.
Uh huh. They sure do. Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Let's go. I know we got a dev dive topic for the very end, but any other dev dives that you want to jump into?
I think biggest thing is kind of some of the under the hood stuff. I'm trying to make some of the queries a faster. Some people that have large hero wallets have been having issues, and I'm hoping I'm been able to take care of some of those issues. I'm trying to think what else. I know we've had some people ask for new features on matching. A couple new checkboxes showed up where you can force it to only find, like, say you want A1 has to match. You can flip that box on now. So some minor things like that.
Love it.
I'm trying to think if there's any other. Those are the big ones right now. Just kind of some quality of life, minor
Yeah.
improvements.
And I'll save kind of the best for last on the coming next. I'm really excited about expeditions, and here's why. It's kind of a combination of I do like the function of expeditions, but this was not something that Hubert talked about, even though we talked around the entire subject when we had him on the podcast, what, like a month ago. I
Yep.
I truly believe that this is an idea that kind of spawned out of the community. They decided to run with it. Around that time, they also did the Barcelona conference, where they started tagging "Command Your Legion" or your army of heroes.
Yep.
Um, and I think this is key to really embracing ultimately a solution to the community, saying, let's not mess with the summons timer. Gas prices are going up, and I mean, not that I feel like responsible, like our conversation about the idea of expeditions is what drove this. I think it's more so like the community. But like, I feel like if Hubert had expeditions in his back pocket when we were talking about travel, and we were like, hey, you know how when you're traveling you won't have access to the portal. I feel like he could have said, "Oh yeah, we have that planned. It's called Expeditions, and it's coming out next month." And so I see this as a very, very positive sign to how the community, or how the dev team is still able to react to the community, and excited. And then I think it'll be great for gas prices ultimately.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think it was maybe Thanos or someone who explained it one way at one point, like a year ago, probably, maybe more, that what questing is effectively it's like micro staking of a hero.
Right.
And once he described it that way, I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Because normally you stake and you kind of leave it and forget it. But for whatever reason, these quests were defined in a way that you have to keep coming back every 8 hours to stake, unstake, stake, unstake. So I think expeditions is basically going to be a way where you stake your hero for long term.
Yeah. It
And
also lowers the barrier of entry for new
it
players.
does. Do you think there will be reduced rewards because of this? I think perhaps slight reduction for the convenience.
Um, Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like, I think if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have said, "Oh, without a doubt, they'll absolutely put reduced rewards on it." But now it's almost like it's in the best interest of the
Oh,
community
true.
to keep the rewards the same,
Or
or
maybe they
even
give you
better.
XP boosts that are higher and not item boosts. Maybe you get a few less items but more XP or something.
Maybe it'll have like a higher variance to it, kind of like how the training
Yeah.
quests work too.
Okay,
I
I like that.
I see no reason to drastically reduce the rewards, because that's only helping botters, and I don't think they really love. I think they tolerate that it exists in the game, and understand that it's also driving a lot of income. Um, but it so I guess that'll be a balance, because gas and transactions kind of, that's a so I guess that's actually a really tricky concept that
It
is
is.
well beyond my head. But effectively, expeditions will reduce the number of transactions that you have. Um, but maybe they raise the gas, prices of regular. I don't know what's the balance there, right?
Well, yeah, and I think the big problem is it's in their best interest to do this so that we can reduce the GUI cost per transaction. But at some point, if you listen to Dreamer talk, inevitably it'll come out of how many transactions we're doing on our chain. So
Exactly.
are they making themselves look less appealing by doing something like this? To us game players, no. But to those bean counters out there and who are looking where to put their money, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
unless you can phrase it and there's an alternative metric of like total value locked or something that they can use, something like that. So it is a strange kind of dynamic, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, maybe suggestion to the DeFi Kingdoms team that most definitely does not listen to our podcast. Um, maybe, launch with expeditions being kind of variable in length. And so you could say, like, this month we're doing a fishing expedition that takes 2 weeks. Next month we're doing a
Right.
foraging expedition that takes 4 weeks. And then you're kind of already setting the expectation of a variable time frame in mind and variable rewards. And then they could kind of tweak with it and play with it to dial
I
in
like
on that
that.
balance.
That's a good way to do it. I think, yeah. And obviously they can whatever they launch with their new diamond pattern, they can replace, fix,
Adjust. Yep.
adjust,
That's
all of
great.
that.
All right. Well, let's go jump into. We want to do some gene rerolls, and we need
Oh
to
yeah,
we need
we've
to
been
put
waiting
this
to
up
do this for a long
for
time.
forever. We need to put this up for a community vote too. So I have an idea here, which is we have a bunch of gene rerolls going on, and these are community heroes that were, the guild like membership heroes for the guild access. What if we said we were going to, raffle off, and I think this is where it's like it has to be a guild vote because these are the guild's heroes. But
Right.
what if we took like the ones that are really high crafting heroes, and we said, what? Why is there only 3 rerolls? I'm confused. I wonder if that didn't. I queued up a lot more than 3. Would the bot have rolled them?
Completed them? No, it doesn't know anything about rerolls. So no,
Okay,
I
here
think
we
you
go.
should be
Yeah,
safe there.
100.
Ah,
This is better.
nice.
All right. So I lost my train of thought there. What if we decided to look at some of these and say, hey, this is a really valuable crafting hero. Let's give it back to the guild people. We could have some kind of vote for that on the system, whether it's a raffle. I don't know. Just an idea. So, ADFK guild members listening to this would love to know your thoughts. Crafting hero, in some ways, I kind of don't want it to sit with the guild. I feel like crafting is going to take. I don't feel like that's going to be as automated as questing. That's just the vibes I get, but I have no background information on that. What are your thoughts
Well,
though?
I don't want to say I'm the opposite, but I almost possibly could be, and it kind of depends on how land shapes up, right? Because
Oh sure.
we are gonna have a plot of land, so
Oh,
theoretically
we might
we're
need those
going to
guys to be
need,
toiling away at crafting too. That's great.
right, and if they can be staked as kind of like rented out as crafters on our land to profit the guild or our members, I think
Mm.
that's kind of how I envision it
You're
working.
kind of saying it might better benefit the members to hang on to them long term. I guess yeah, it's hard to say because we have no idea what crafting will do.
Right, and if you notice the segment we just came from, which was the roadmap, crafting was not on there, so it's
Yeah,
out a
not in the
bit.
short term. All right, so I'm gonna get through the first transaction here.
We'll see how much you have memorized now if you remember which element goes with which.
Oh, I know nothing. I've
I'm getting pretty close.
not been able to commit that to memory
I
in any way, shape, or form.
think I have that chart up on like most of my computers, so I can reference it when there's a level up happening.
Good deal. All right, boy, moving a
The
little
chain is
quickly.
busy. What is gas is at about 20.9, so it's up there.
If this was my wallet, I'd be speeding up, but this is the guild's money, so we can be patient.
Wow, there's quite a bit of gold sitting out there too, isn't there?
Yeah. Oh boy.
I'm kind of surprised. I thought Helper um sold a lot of items, but maybe we may have turned off dueling. I think that's possible.
How do we have these scrolls?
Yes. A
I
full
so I
set.
guess
What do you?
some ideas, like we could give runes back to the guild. Moksha runes are a hot commodity. I know that's been in guild chat a lot lately.
Oh yeah.
Tiers. I think we're going to start divvying those back out, but we need to get back
Mm-hmm.
to that.
We do.
We have raffle tickets somehow too. What? When
I
did
don't
we
think
get
we've ever
them?
spent any.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's to give you the business, isn't it?
It sure is. And when I switched to Rabby, I thought things improved dramatically in terms of transactions actually being able to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Are you using Rabby now?
I haven't yet. I think the biggest thing is wallets that have heavy transaction load from bots kind of just struggle across the board.
Yeah. And I have found that Rabby actually does get things through when I have the bot running. There's still
Okay.
times where summoning is the hardest.
Sure.
I feel like, and I don't know why, but like leveling up, I can still sneak those in with Rabby, whereas I could not sneak those in with MetaMask before. I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining things, but
No, it probably has something to do with the size of the how much, what's the
what the
gas
con?
limit that that transaction
Yeah.
takes.
Well, this is an awfully boring way to spend the podcast. So I have a few summons lined up that I was planning on doing a little after the podcast summons night here for anyone who wants to stick around. And maybe by then we'll see the guild transactions.
There you go.
All right,
Yeah,
so
you're probably stuck in that like transaction underpriced mode, and it's like, yeah.
yeah. All right, well let me bounce around to some of my open tabs that I have here. Oh, oops, what's that?
What do you got there? Well, that looks
Oh,
kind of fun. Huh.
yeah,
Man, you need to switch to dark mode, by the way.
I do. Yeah. So let's. Do you want to do the teas or do you want me to do the teas?
Lead the way.
All right. So there is we kind of we're a little heavy handed with our hinting or at the start of the podcast, but there's not really a raffle ticket generating mechanism, and not a lot of third parties building inside DeFi kingdoms right now. Um, and so we're looking at doing something. We're gonna have a big reveal coming up here. I don't know if we'll do it next week or maybe the week after. We have something in the hopper. I'm not at all going to promise that this is not a fully developed thing at launch. But this is something we've been talking about, and so we're gonna probably start reaching out to the guild first, um, and then start reaching outside to our paid subscribers next. Get some feedback on some directions of things. So we're working on building, and like I said, we'll have a big reveal coming up in a couple weeks. Anything you want to add?
I think you nailed it. We're just kind of keeping busy and the lull as we wait for combat. We're kind of seeing what we can come up with. Anything, if there's something exciting we can come up with, maybe something uh, to keep the community engaged and give us something to talk about.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for us tonight, and we won't bother waiting around for the Gene Ray roll to finish. So, for Neindorf, this is Raph. Have a great night.